Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I am making a personal wide ring bound planner. This is actually sized for the B6 rings, and I'll be showing you the inserts from JeseniaPrintables and how it was able to fit the inserts inside, leaving just enough room for the cover to wrap around. So I actually moved my B6 rings into my print pression. Here is the print pression in ballerina, and this is the one with the crisscross pockets and the card slots. So this is sized for the B6 rings, and the inserts are 5.3 by 7 inches, and the jelly that I bought from Amazon was just enough to wrap around the inserts and the rings. So if you are interested in getting that, you actually don't even need to cut it at all, except rounding the corners. So here I'm fitting all my B6 inserts inside the rings to show you how it was able to fit it all. So here I am finishing up placing all the inserts inside, and when you wrap it around the elastic, it's just enough room, and you can see how it just touches the edge of the ends of the thing, of the jelly sheet, and it was just enough. So here I'm taking everything out and about to get started with the tutorial. So the rings that I got from Amazon are actually pretty sturdy, and they're actually really good quality for the price. So I got it for $17.90, I believe. Yeah, $17.90, and it's actually very easy to remove. It's just a screw, or a Chicago screw. So yeah, and you just twist it, and I actually used one of my hair clips, and it was just enough to fit inside the thing. I think you can use a coin or something thin to unscrew it instead of using your finger. So here I used that, and it was very easy to unscrew, and there's only 3 holes that you had to make on your jelly sheet just to have this planner. I didn't sew it because I'm not really good at sewing on the sewing machine. So, but I actually like the flexibility of the jelly, but it's also sturdy. And I actually added a back pocket with the Target dollars, or yeah, the Target dollar pockets adhesives. So yeah. In here I put the elastic through the middle, and this is actually the clear one, and if you want to know the measurements for the B6 rings, it is 13 1/4, I believe. Yes, it's 13 1/4. And this was the full length of the sheet, and the jelly sheet that I'll be linking down below, it actually varies a little. Like some are a little taller, but they all are this like similar to 7 1/4 by or 7 7/8 by 13 1/4. So this is the clear transparent one, and I'm actually making the personal wide one in the cloudy or like translucent one. And here is the cutting board, and you can actually use a cutting board if you don't have a Fiskars cutter. And here it comes rolled up, so you have to kind of flatten it, but once you put your inserts in, it's so much easier to get it straight. So here, since I only need for the personal wide, I decided to cut it 1/2 inch. I didn't really measure it, but it wasn't long enough to cut lengthwise. So if you wanted to cut it to make it smaller or to make it a smaller size for like the A6 rings or the pocket rings, you can do that. So the inserts that I made or that I bought from JeseniaPrintables are sized for 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. So I decided to just trim it off 1/2 inch, the jelly sheet. So it would be about 13, or no, 12 5/8. So here I'm measuring and making sure that it all lines up, because since it curls, and it's actually much easier to cut it on the Fiskars trimmer since it doesn't move around as much. So here I'm lining up the jelly sheet, and I'm actually folding it in half to find the center of the sheet, and that's how I line up the mechanism, since there's actually a middle line on the back of the mechanism. And here I'm making sure that it's the correct height of the planner. So here it is 7 7/8 of an inch. And I decided to keep that length so I have enough room to make top dividers, or the top dividers that I originally had in the inserts. So here I'm folding it in half to find the center mark. And it's actually really easy to fold and make a crease. And I actually used the cutting mat to help me pinpoint where the center of the center line is to put in the elastics. So here I'm taking out the cutting board. So here I'm lining up the jelly sheet where so the line that I folded will line up at the 8 or the 9, and I just wanted to make sure that I had that right in the center. But you actually want to do it on the opposite side where you can tell where the hollow is, but since I marked it on the other side, it's much easier to poke it inward instead of outward, since the screws would be going inward, so towards the inside of the planner. So here I'm making sure that the mechanism is centered, and I actually lowered it a little so I can have enough room for the top, since I didn't really care about the bottom as much, but I left enough room just for the bottom. And here I'm using my pen, but technically it wasn't long enough, so I had to unscrew my pen to make it thin enough to fit through the holes, and it actually didn't even make a mark. So after I unscrewed my pen, since it was such a skinny refill, it was able to fit through the holes. So these rings were actually really easy to install. I only had to make 2 holes and punch it through. And here I'm back lining up the sheet to the middle of the 8 line, and now I'm putting it a little lower than I normally do. But for the B6 rings, I actually put it right in the center, but I didn't like how I didn't have enough room for like top dividers, or some of it would be sticking out a little. So here I made it a little lower so I have enough room for at least top dividers and a bookmark. So now you can see the 2 dots that I made, and I will do a close-up. And here I am going to line it back up to make the 3rd dot, which would be where the elastic goes. And I just centered it through the 2 lines, since I knew it would be between 7 and 7/8. And here I'm just using a Sharpie marker to make sure that the dots stay. And yeah, so I used an awl to punch the holes, or a crocodile if you have one, but for this one it wasn't long enough, or it couldn't reach the holes that I needed to make. So I decided to just use an awl, and if you don't have an awl, you can actually use a needle and a pen to make the hole bigger. And you can see how it didn't fit. So I decided to use my awl instead. Since I love bookbinding, there are things that you have in your craft room if you love bookbinding. So here's my awl. This is the pointy bit, and you can actually use a needle instead, or a thumbtack. So here I'm punching the middle hole, and I'm making sure I have enough clearance for the elastic to go through, and make sure don't punch yourself with the needle, because that would hurt. For the 2 holes for the mechanism, I needed to make sure that it was big enough to fit the screw. So I actually used my pencil, I believe. Yeah, my pencil to make the holes bigger for the screws to fit in, because you can see how tiny the hole is right now, and it actually doesn't fit in as good. So here I'm using my pencil to make the middle one a little bigger, but not too big. And here I'm doing it to both sides. And for these jelly sheets, they come with a clear protective sheet around them. So I didn't want to remove it before I started punching the holes, because if there was a mistake, then it would have been harder to cover up. And you actually don't see the Sharpie marker anymore, since you wrote on the clear protective sleeve instead of the actual jelly. And here I am feeding the elastic through. And here I decided to use a new or a restrap kit from Printpression, but I had a hard time fitting it through since I didn't like the tightness of it. So I just opted back to the one that I originally had on my B6 rings to fit around it. And I actually like how loose it is, even though I can actually fit more than what is in, like, the elastic can fit. Also, you want to make sure that you put in the elastic beforehand, or you can do it after, but it might be a little harder to feed the elastic through. But punch the hole in big enough to feed the elastic through if you're going to do it after. And here I'm putting in the screw, and here it just slides in really easily, and it actually holds in place even when I only punched it a little more with my pencil. So here I'm doing it to the other side, and it just sits right there. It's only 2 screws, and it's very easy to install. And you just feed the ring mechanism on top of the screws, and that's it. And you just screw it all together with the other part of the screw. And here I'm using my hairpin to help me screw it tighter. And it actually, when you tighten it, it actually isn't that tight, but it's not gonna move around where it shifts a lot, but it's still sturdy enough to hold in place. And if you actually want to sew this, I'm not really good at sewing, but you can, and you can actually make a reinforced spine, but I actually like it when it's not reinforced because then you have that freedom. So there it is. It's really easy to install. And now I'm going to round the corners of the jelly since it's a sharp 90-degree angle. So here's my corner chomper from Crocodile. And this is the 1/4 of an inch punch side. You can actually use a quarter and just draw a mark, or you can leave the protective sleeve on and draw a curved corner. And here I'm having a little trouble with this corner, so now it's still not perfect. Now it is. So this is very easy to install and very easy to make, and it only costs in total $30. And these sheets actually come in 8 colors, so this is one of the other colors. And now here is the pocket that I made from the Dollar Pockets adhesive pockets, and this is actually the name tag one, but I'm actually going to cut it into a secretarial pocket. So I lined it up at 6 1/4, no, 6 1/2, because I didn't want it to make it too tall where it will overhang. And here I'm only cutting 2 sides of the pocket. Make sure you're cutting the open side instead of the closed side. And here's the pocket, the secretarial pocket. And I used my crocodile to round the corner, and you can actually catch my mistake. I put it on the wrong side of the planner. I put it on since I moved the rings a little lower, I put it on the side where it was supposed to be the top, the front page instead of the back page of the planner, since I didn't want it to cover up the beautiful acetate from Scribble Prints Co. So here's the curved or the rounded corner, and I'm here trying to show it. So yeah, here it is. It's only 1/2 inch, and I would have made it bigger, but that depends on you guys if you want to make it rounder. So here's my mistake. You can tell how the ring is actually higher than it's supposed to be, but I didn't look at my rings before I placed down the pocket. But this is actually easy to remove since it's jelly and it's plastic, and plastic on plastic is easy to remove. So now I'm putting back the inserts back into the planner, and then I would catch my mistake. So here's the beautiful acetate from Scribble Prints Co., the Disney TN kit. And I'm actually going to be doing a flip through of this planner in another video, so stay tuned for that one. And here I realized my mistake, so now I'm ripping off the pocket that I made, and it actually made the adhesive cloudy, and I knew it wouldn't stick properly on the plastic and it wouldn't be clean. So I decided to just cut a new one since I have so many. So here you can see that I had enough clearance for the dividers on top. And I actually like top dividers instead of side dividers. And here I'm recutting my pocket to make it on the right side. So here I use the same method of rounding the corner. And now I'm putting it on the right side of the planner. And here I'm actually putting Clever Gal Craft stickers in the pocket, but I forgot that I made it shorter, so then the stickers actually weren't going to fit properly inside, so I just decided to remove it, and I will put stickers that I will know that will fit inside. So here's the completed planner, and I will do a flip through in the next video. And this actually turned out really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.